Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our Synact customer webinar on email tracking best practices. Today, I'm going to go through a couple tips and tricks to help you when you're tracking your emails through Dynamics 365. I will start out by saying that this webinar is being recorded, so we will have this available after the webinar, so you can view it at your leisure, or you can share it with some of your colleagues if you find that the information would be valuable. Also, please note that during the demo, I am using the Dynamics 365 Unified Interface and Office 365. So it's the full Office 365 and Dynamics integration. I do know that some of you may not have migrated to the new unified interface yet, so this may be a preview of what you will see in the months to come. And some of you may not be using Office 365 for your email integration. In this case, you may be using the Outlook client that looks slightly different. And if you would like to upgrade and migrate to Office 365, someone on the Synact team would be happy to help you and talk to you more about that. So as you know, with your Microsoft suite of products of Microsoft 365, your applications are all across the board kind of working together and talking to each other. And this becomes especially important when you're talking about your Dynamics and your Microsoft Outlook integration. This is a really nice feature that allows you to take your emails that you have in Outlook and actually track them to records within Dynamics. This allows you to be able to share that information that's in the emails across your organization, and it keeps people up to date on what might be going on within the account and what types of correspondence are happening. It also will automatically take your attachments and attach them to the record as well, so that you have important documents or screenshots or other things that people might be sharing with you through email available in your Dynamics. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start by showing you the personalization settings. There are some settings within your personalization settings that I want you to be aware of. To find your personalization settings, you're going to come up here to the wheel or cog or whatever you want to call it up here in the toolbar in Dynamics, and you will find personalization settings. Now on a different webinar, we may talk about some of these other options, but for today, I'm going to go directly to email. And you'll see that there are some options that you can personalize. The first one is whether or not other people can send email for you through Dynamics 365. Now, if you have workflows that send email alerts and things like that throughout Dynamics for things that you do in the system, I highly recommend that you allow other users to send email on your behalf, because that includes the system admin that generates those emails. The next one is kind of an important one. Select the email messages to track in Dynamics 365. Now, the Synact recommendation is that you put this on the setting of email messages in response to Dynamics email. This means that you're going to basically select the emails that you want tracked out of your Outlook, and it's not going to track everything that's in there. If I hit the drop down, I'll kind of show you what some of the other options are. All email messages. This is a big no-no. You don't want all of your email messages tracked in there, because there's a lot of email messages you get that aren't the type of email messages that warrant to be saved in a Dynamics record. The other ones are email messages for Dynamics 365 leads, contacts, and accounts. So this one's kind of always monitoring to see if the contact that you're emailing or has emailed you is in Dynamics, and if so, it's going to automatically track that email. Again, this isn't recommended because you're going to clutter your timeline and clutter your emails with a lot of stuff that isn't really important to everyone or to doing business. The other one, the records that are email enabled, again, we don't recommend any time when you're having dynamics or having, the systems just automatically track everything without kind of some sort of thought as to the importance of whether or not it does need to be tracked. Or there's no email messages. That way you wouldn't be able to track email messages at all. So the recommendation is to make sure your track is set to email messages in response to Dynamics email. That way, once you select the message to be tracked, it will also track those replies that correspond to that email that you're already tracking. We also don't recommend that you automatically create records within Dynamics 365. So if this checkbox is checked within your organization, we recommend that you uncheck it, and that when you're creating contacts or leads from your Outlook, that you're doing it with intent and purpose, and you're actually choosing to create that contact record rather than every contact that's in your Outlook getting created within Dynamics. This, again, can dirty up your data and can cause problems and a lot of clutter that you don't need down the line. Those are your most important ones. The last one that I would show you is this one. Show emails not tracked in Dynamics 365 in the activities list. You definitely want this set to now. What this does is it kind of light sets other emails that might be from that person within your timeline without officially tracking them. And again, it adds to the clutter. So we recommend that you set that to no. And that when you track emails from Outlook to Dynamics, you do that with intention and you choose those emails that are important that should be tracked. I'd say okay. So now I've kind of given you a quick overview of how your personalization settings should be set up. I'm now going to talk for a few minutes about some of the Synact, tips and tricks for best practices when tracking email. The first best practice that we have is only track relevant emails. I think I've said that probably 3 or 4 times now already in this webinar, but it's really important. If you think of sometimes, your emails can go back and forth. Maybe you're asking about, someone's family, or, maybe you're just sending a quick email asking someone if they want to, get coffee, or, we're talking about the baseball game now that baseball is back on TV from last night. Those aren't the kind of business emails that you would want saved in your Dynamics records. You want those emails where other people in your organization would benefit from seeing them, or that they contain important information that relates directly to, say, an opportunity you're working on, or a project that you're working on with that client, or a potential sale that you're trying to make. Those are the important, relevant emails that you want to make sure get tracked within Dynamics. Sometimes I like to say, a good way of thinking about this is, do you want your coworkers to see that email and have it readily available? If it's not information that's relevant to be shared with the entire organization, it's probably not something that you're going to want to have tracked in your Dynamics. Okay? So let's talk a little bit more about some other best practices. So we want to track those relevant emails. We also want to track those relevant emails to the record that it most closely relates to. So in Dynamics, you have the ability to track 2 different entities. So out of the box, Dynamics will track to accounts and contacts and opportunities and leads, and maybe you have a custom entity for projects, or another thing that you're working with in your system. We can turn on all the different entities, and when I talk about that, I'm talking about the different places over here. Like we use cases, or like I said, accounts and contacts, leads and opportunities. we can track emails to any of these things. So if you're not seeing that entity to be able to track emails to, reach out to Synact support and we can work with you on that. So just to go back to my best practice, track your emails to the record it most closely relates to. So if the email is about a particular opportunity, you want to track that email to that opportunity it pertains to. By default, the emails automatically roll up to the contact record and the account record that opportunity and that email is associated with. So here I am in my dynamics. If you look here, I have this email here. Pardon, this is from myself, right? So here it is coming in from, we'll do this one, from another account, okay? So you see it at the opportunity level because I actually tracked it to the opportunity. If I then drill down into my contact record, I'm also going to see that email there as well. It's right here. Because this email by default is rolling up to the contact that it was associated to. Even though I tracked it to the opportunity, it's still going to be on that contact record as well. But you'll also see I have a lot more emails as well on my contact record, right? So if we go back to that opportunity, you'll see I have far fewer emails on here because these are only the opportunity or only the emails that pertain to this particular opportunity. So that's the reason why the best practice is to track to the record it most closely pertains to, because now I can come to the opportunity and I can see all the emails that pertain to it. And I don't have to go to the contact record and weed through maybe a lot of extra emails from, say, marketing, sending out an email blast, or another team member's emails that they're tracking about that contact as well. This way, you get to the important information you need in the quickest amount of time that you can by putting it on the relevant records. Now I'm going to switch over and I'm going to go into my Outlook right now and show you how to track from Outlook. Okay, so here we are in my Outlook. And what you're going to see here is you're going to see an inbox, right? And if you look over here under categories, you can see the different emails that have already been tracked to Dynamics, okay? If I then go ahead and I click on one of these, right, you're going to see that they're tracked. And if I click on my Dynamics icon up here in my toolbar, you're then going to see the record that it is then tracked to and the recipient that it is tracked to. If I look at an email, for instance, that was sent, sorry, go to this one. Let me pin this here for a minute. One thing is if you want your Dynamics pop out to always be available for you in your Outlook, you have a pin here, and if you pin it, it will always be open for you, okay? So that's a little tip and trick that now when I go to another record, like this, you'll see that it's flipping to the different Dynamics records that this is tracked to as I click on them, okay? So say if I click here, you'll see that this one, because it was a group email, is tracked to 4 different people, okay? So this gets into my next tip, which is if you have an email string that many people are on and they're responding back and forth to the email, the best practice is to track the last email in the string. You're going to get all of the correspondence that, from the responses coming back and forth, but you're not going to have those separate emails tracked multiple times throughout your dynamics and to the different contacts. Okay, so that's just another little like best practice tip. To track an email, you can go ahead and click on the email, and as you'll see, it's not currently tracked. Over here in my dynamics pop out, I can go ahead and set regarding. Here, I can look up an account, a contact, an opportunity, or any other records that I want to attach that, attach this email to that's within Dynamics. So for this one, I'm going to attach it to my email best practices webinar. So now you'll see I've now successfully tracked that webinar, and it's now showing me that in the list that I have tracked it. Now, if I go back into my dynamics and I'll refresh, we'll be able to see that email tracked within my dynamics on this opportunity. Now, note, if I come back here into my Outlook, this contact, Microsoft Dynamics, if you see down here, is an unknown recipient. He's not in my Dynamics, nor have I automatically created a contact for him, but I was still able to track that email to the opportunity. So he doesn't need to be in my system or to be associated with that opportunity in order for me to track that email there. I could go ahead and if I wanted to, create this by hitting the plus button and add this as a new contact. So easy way, if you get a new email coming in and you want to add that record as a contact, you can go ahead and add it as either a contact, a lead, or an account, however it works best within your organization. Now, another best practice tip is that once you have tracked your emails to Dynamics, you really no longer need them in your Outlook. So you can safely delete those emails out of your Outlook. And as long as you've tracked them already, they will still save and appear in your Dynamics. This will save on storage. Some people have limits on the amount of storage that they have in their email. So to keep that email space, free of storage and free of clutter is really helpful. And you can always access those emails directly in Dynamics now that you've tracked them. Now I'm going to kind of switch gears a little bit, and I'm going to show you how to track emails in two different formats. I'm going to switch to the web version now and show it to you there, and then I'm going to show you some screenshots on the mobile app. Come back in here and I switch over to my web email. The navigation for how to track an email is a little bit different within the web, so I wanted to make sure to share it with you. So if I have this email here and I want to go ahead and track it in Dynamics, you'll see that in the web version, you can see track to Dynamics very easily. I would click on my email, and either in the 3 ellipses, which gives you more in your command bar, more actions to happen, you will find the Dynamics 365 view. You can go ahead and click on that. Again, you have the ability to pin it so that your Dynamics pop-out is there as you move through different email records. And once it gets you in, it functions pretty much the same way as it does in the desktop version, where it's going to go and try to find you where it thinks this email should be tracked to, and then you can go ahead and set regarding and track the email. And it looks like with doing this webinar, I might have a little bit of slowness right now in my web email. So in an effort to save time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch and show you what it looks like on your mobile device. So if you're using Outlook for your mobile device, again, the navigation is a little bit different. So what you would do is in your email in your Outlook app on your mobile phone, right? You would click on the 3 ellipses. Again, 3 ellipses always means more commands or more actions. And then it will pop up a menu and you'll see that blue Dynamics icon. What you're going to do is go ahead and click on that blue Dynamics icon. It's going to open up the Dynamics pop-out window. And then again, you have that same set regarding where you can set it to your case or your opportunity or your project or whatever that record is that the email pertains to. So you'll select it, and then you'll see that it was selected, that it was successfully tracked. Okay. So you want to look for that blue icon when you're in your mobile or your web devices for Dynamics in order to pop out the Dynamics window to be able to track. And you'll usually find it where you find your 3 ellipses. So I switch back here. Wow, don't we love this slowness now? So unfortunately, I'm going to be unable to just set regarding here in the web version, but it does function the same way that it does here in your desktop version, where I can go ahead and select that opportunity that I want to track that to, and it's going to go ahead and track. The trickiest part in the mobile version is finding that Dynamics icon to launch Dynamics within Outlook. So I've gone through today about 3 or 4 best practices that Synact always uses in tracking emails. So just to quickly review, you only want to track relevant emails to Dynamics, not everything, okay? Things that are important to your business. You want to track those emails to the record that they most closely relate to. So if it's about an opportunity, you want to track it to the opportunity. If it's about a case or a project or an investment or something or some other record in Dynamics, you want to track it there. And the reason for doing this is it's more easy to find that information later when you need it. And also remember, if you track it to the opportunity, it's going to be available at the related contact and account record for you already. So it makes sense to just bring it down to the most relevant record. Also, if you have a string of emails that have a lot of people on the email, you might want to wait and only track the last email in that email string so that you're not picking up every single one and every response and having that email duplicate many times throughout your Dynamics. And then the last tip is once you have tracked your emails to Dynamics, go ahead, delete them out of your Outlook, okay? It's okay, they're saved in Dynamics for you. If you have any questions or if you want to get some more in-depth training on tracking emails between Outlook and Dynamics, reach out to Synact support, reach out to me directly, and we can set up a training session for you guys that's just for your team, and then I can show you things within your particular Dynamics instance. So we have about 5 more minutes left in this presentation. I would like to take some time right now to answer any questions that anyone has. In the toolbar, you will find a question and answer chat. You can go ahead and type your question into the chat, and I will go ahead and answer it. Okay. I have one question here that says, I have tracked LinkedIn email to Dynamics 365 and now have deleted the email from Outlook. Tomorrow I need to reply all to that email that I deleted. How is this accomplished from the D365 environment? Okay, so you can always go back into your deleted items folder, but you can send an email directly out of Dynamics. So you do have that capability to go to your timeline, right? And you can create an email. You can add those people to it. You can also bring back up that email. By clicking on, and I'm not sure if you guys saw that. I come back here, if I'm on that email, right, there's this button here that opens the record. If I click on that, that's going to go ahead and take me to this email. And then right here, you can hit reply all and reply to all those people. So if you don't want to go back into your Outlook, if you've already deleted it out of there, you do have the capabilities of coming right back here into the Dynamics email record and going ahead and hitting reply all. You would add your information and then you would go ahead and hit send. And I would go ahead and send, and this is going to go ahead and send out. Are there other questions that anyone has? I will give it a couple more minutes. Again, just recommend be choosy with your emails, but certainly use the tracking capabilities and the integration between Outlook and Dynamics. It is a really great way to share information within your organization rather than going through and say, forwarding emails back and forth to everyone, or, hey, can you forward that to me again? Now you can say, you can go into Dynamics, it's in the email, or it's in the, it's in the opportunity that email's there and everyone can see the information without continually passing it around. I want to thank everyone for joining. If you do have any other questions, feel free to send them to support@synect.net or send them to me directly, and I will be more than happy to help you or anyone on the Synect team. Thank you for joining the webinar, and I look forward to speaking with you all again.